Welcome to EVTN News. I think my previous video I had scheduled here. I inadvertently set it to screencast, and so it was broadcasting what was on my phone instead of this. Anyway, I'm doing better. I'm feeling better than last week. That's not saying much, but I'm improving. Thanks for all the positive comments, everyone. And I guess I'll edit some of the details of this video and later after it's done. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see here. Oh, this is actually an old EVTN. Well, let's see. I'm not connected to the network on my device, huh? Well, I apologize, everyone. So, basically, I'm not over my sickness. I'm still getting better with my cough, but anyway, bear with me for a second. I have to turn the internet on. That would be helpful. And then I can actually find my files. I thought I was very much prepared, but obviously not. Okay. So here we go. Thanks for joining me on the live stream. And so Bishop Nicholas Bassi, based of the Diocese of Puerto Iguazu, Argentina, Francis's home territory, has been notified by the Dicastery for Bishops that in December he will receive a fraternal visit as a result of some news received by the Holy See questioning the pastoral governance of the diocese. Bishop Bassi used to serve as an auxiliary bishop in the Archdiocese of La Plata under Archbishop Hector Auger, who has become an outspoken critic of his fellow Argentinians in the Vatican, both Pope Francis and Cardinal Fernandez. So Francis is really going after his enemies, very much so. So there you go. He's just who's the next target for Francis? I don't know. Is there anyone in the United States who's left that he's going to direct his hostility towards? I could see Coeur d'Leon, who excommunicated Pelosi, although he doesn't speak up very much. He a lot of the bishops kind of keep to themselves, just do things in their own diocese, and that's sort of the point, right? And then Paprocki implied that McElroy was a heretic, which he is. And so there you go. So will Pope Francis go after those guys? I guess that's the real question. Will he send his nuncio after them? And will he attack the Latin Mass again? I know that Pierre is not a fan of the Latin Mass, or not a fan of Catholicism in general. The Francis Church is very anti-Catholic. And so, well, another one of the enemies of Pope Francis, which Pope Francis declined. He said he did not call Cardinal Burke his enemy, but he confirmed everything else. Cardinal Burke told the Wall Street Journal that he had not been informed of Francis's intention. Oh. And just shut down on me again. Let's see what we can do here. Let me pull this back up because I just got cut off in the middle of a sentence. So this is no fun. All right, Cardinal Burke told the Wall Street Journal that he had not been informed of Francis's intention to strip him of his old age, his in his old age of his apartment and salary. Burke said people can draw their own conclusions about why Francis told this to Austin Ivory and not the person concerned, Cardinal Burke. Burke intends to remain in Rome even if he is forced to find another place to live. He says it's my duty as a cardinal to remain in Rome, so he's not going to make a big deal about it. Like some people on the internet, the people that are making the biggest deal about it are the leftists, the godless leftists. They pretend to be Catholic, but liberalism is a sin. That's actually the book I'm reading now. And it's true, it is. And so, these faithless people, they're making the biggest deal about it and laughing at Cardinal Burke. But they're also pointing out that Cardinal Burke makes an enormous cardinal's salary, as do all the cardinals in Rome. And as far as I know, they all get free housing. So Francis is just taking money away from his enemy, and is he really an enemy? Is Burke really an enemy of Francis? You know, at the end of the day, he's not the enemy of Francis because he's calling him to repentance. And so that's not really what your enemy would do, right? Unless Francis is an enemy of the faith. On Thursday, November 30th, Pope Francis received members of the International Theological Commission at the Vatican. In an impromptu speech, the Pope criticized the scant presence of women in the commission. He said, "We must progress on this. Women have a different capacity for theological reflection than we men. At the next meeting of the 9 cardinals, we will reflect on the female dimension of the church." But not the female diaconate, because he's against that, right? He said that in some random interview or some letter to some group of lay people or something. Anyway, Francis said, "The church is female, and if we do not understand what a woman is, what the theology of a woman is, we will never understand what the church is. One of our greatest sins has been masculinizing the church." And this is not resolved through ministerial means. That's another thing. It is resolved through the mystical, the real way. This is a task I ask of you, please. Demasculinize the church. I think the Jesuits are doing a really good job of that. All right, moving on. Oh, another demasculinization. Well, LMNOP priests, right? Okay, I might focus on this scandal for a while. A Milwaukee priest who maintained an allegedly romantic public relationship with a layman was placed on administrative leave Friday, while a formal canonical investigation into his conduct is initiated. This move comes one day after the Pillar published a report about Milwaukee Judicial Vicar Father Mark Payne, who in 2022 hired as a parish school teacher a man with whom he had shared a condo for decades. So he hired his boyfriend as a teacher. I guess he had an administrative position in the school. I don't know if he was principal or not, but anyway. Earlier the week, the Milwaukee Archdiocese told the Pillar that it had given the priest verbal warnings about his lifestyle, but did not indicate that it planned to initiate canonical investigations into the priest's conduct or to use other canonical mechanisms to address the concerns. All right, so here's a fact. Here's a fact. This is a crisis. If you don't see the crisis in the church, you got to be blind with this. How many dioceses are going to do the same thing? They gave him a very strong lecture on why you shouldn't be living with a man, on why you shouldn't be living with an LMNOP boyfriend. Oh, you really shouldn't have this man as your roommate. All right, now here's another pastor position. We've seen it all over the United States. probably all over the world too. I mean, I don't have any necessarily specific instances from across the world, but I'm sure that's the case in a lot of other places. I mean, I guess Rupnik, um, although he was more of a he was interested in women, maybe, I think, which is not, I don't know, kind of odd for the Jesuits. But um, this priest, we've seen it with Monsignor Grinder. Oh, he repented. Oh, they didn't even say that, did they? They just appointed him as Bishop Callahan just appointed him as pastor, and then you get that guy in Nestout's diocese, the last big news story George Newmeyer broke. He had a synodal encounter with a man in a car in a public parking lot and received a criminal citation for it. And he's pastor of a parish. These disgusting men are not fit to be pastors, much less priests in a diocese. They should be permanently suspended. It's disgusting. Absolutely pathetic on the part of what's his name, Bishop. Let me find out who's the bishop here. Is it Listecki? Archdiocese in Milwaukee. Archbishop Jerome Listecki. He gave him a very strong lecture on why he shouldn't be living that lifestyle he's been living for 30 years. Oh, he sure listened to you. You told him. You're just trying to fill a position because you don't have enough priests. But the Latin Mass won't do anything for you. Oh, Pope Francis doesn't like the Latin Mass. We can't do that. Yeah. Disgusting. All right, this is kind of a, I don't know, I don't want to say funny story. I don't know. Maybe I'll get on a soapbox a little bit. Whatever. I try not to make this. I try not to be a know-it-all, I guess. So, Father. Oh, what's his name? Father John Lovell, I believe. Yes, Father John Lovell. He is the president of, well, no longer, but he was the president of the Coalition for Canceled Priests. And he was forced out. So there is a press release from the Coalition for Canceled Priests. Okay, where's Father? Oh, okay. So there was a statement from certain priests, and they said, we, priests for the Coalition, are asking all supporters to suspend all giving to the Coalition for Canceled Priests until further notice. This past August, the board of directors suspended its founder, Father John Lovell, without pay. Neither at the time of the suspension nor at any subsequent time was Father Lovell given any indication of the allegations which had been made against him. Further, he was not given any specifics regarding the focus or the scope of investigation, which the board would several weeks later begin regarding the unknown accusation. Okay, so his story, it's the same. So it's the same thing as when he was canceled. So this, I mean, it's starting to sound, isn't it starting to sound a little bit suspicious? I don't know any of the details except for what I've read online, but so he was canceled from his diocese without any kind of investigation. He was kept completely in the dark, and then he founds the Coalition for Canceled Priests, and then the board of directors cancels him again under the same circumstances. Okay, so he's not given any reason for why he's being investigated or suspended or whatever. So either he's the most unluckiest priest in the world, or there's more to the story that we're not hearing. And I think after you get forced out a bunch of places, I don't know, that things start to add up. It's entirely possible that this is the entire story, or he's not telling us the full story. Um, I don't really know, but the canceled priest president got canceled from the canceled priests. It's kind of a tongue twister, or like I, I don't really know. But with that being said, I don't. Me personally, I have no interest in giving any money to any of these organizations or canceled priests until I find out more of the details. Um, it could be a hostile takeover. I mean, I looked at the financial statements for the Coalition for Canceled Priests. These are their 990 tax filing, and they made a substantial profit in the years where they were filing the taxes. I mean, they have a ton of cash. They had a ton of cash on hand, and I think they were trying to raise money for like a permanent. I don't know if you want to call it a monastery, but permanent living quarters for the priests that are canceled. But then you get into the shady stuff, and I think they had one who was like a sedevacantist, um, and it was tied to church militant, I think. So, I mean, obviously they're trying to get support and money from wherever they can, and so tying themselves to church militant help them out, get them a little bit of name recognition. But I don't think it's worth selling your soul being associated with church militant. I mean, and at this point, especially anyone who's associated with them is they really have to start rethinking things. Unfortunately, Bishop Strickland was kind of in a way tied to church militant. I think whenever he did the protest at the Dodgers Stadium in Los Angeles, Michael Voris was sort of one of the organizers for that. Pretty cringe. Actually, guys, I have a statement drafted about church militant, and with recent news every day, I'm sort of adding to it. And so I want to do that in its own separate video and its own breakdown. But for now, definitely don't donate any money to church militant or any of the former employees, because I mean, that would be my recommendation. You do you. You know, you do with your money what you will, but I would highly recommend against it. Church Militant it's a failing organization, but it's just not a good one. Okay, the Parish of Quimper, Brittany, in France announced in September that the FSSP would be evicted from the Central Church of St. Matthew. It's 250 faithful, 500 in the summer. We'll have to travel 15 kilometers northwest to a less visible church not served by any public transportation on the outskirts of Quimper. The pretext for the eviction is that there will be a Saturday evening Eucharist at St. Matthew's. Well, the FSSP uses the church every day. So they couldn't have let them have the Saturday evening Eucharists and let the FSSP be there the rest of the time? Of course not. This is the Francis Church. Black is white. Morality is arbitrary. This is the fulfillment of the new Pentecost. Yes. Rest in peace, George. That was sad. Lyndon Preedy. You know what? Thanks for joining the live stream, Lyndon. I don't know if you're still on or not, but I think weren't you on Meaning of Catholic or something? Like that's actually a pretty big time viewer. Not to kind of give you a big ego. I social media can do that. Anyway, I think you were the Byzantine, yeah. So welcome. Actually, you're well into the St. Philip's fast, and we just started Advent here in the Roman Church, but I go to the Byzantine Church as well. And the feast of St. Nicholas is on the 6th and that is actually a very big feast for the Byzantines. And so if I'm able to make it, I will be happy to attend the St. Nicholas liturgy, and then we have the Immaculate Conception on the 9th, which is going to be a great week. Make it a great week, and it always falls in Advent, so that's always interesting. But oh, Wednesday is when you open your Christmas gifts for the Feast of St. Nicholas. Well, that's actually probably a very fitting time, given the story of St. Nicholas. I don't know, Christmas, it's interesting. Christmas has definitely turned into a commercialized holiday, but of course, traditionalists, we can make it less commercialized. That's sort of the purpose. But Advent and the St. Philip's Fast are ways where we can make it a penitential season, and you can treat Advent like a mini Lent. With the St. Philip's Fast and the Byzantines, it already is. But you can give things up. You can, try to focus more on prayer or spiritual reading, and that's sort of, sort of my goal. I know I had a nativity book, and it was a very long book, so I couldn't start it in Advent. I guess I could start it, but I wouldn't have finished it by Christmas. So, but I hope you guys are enjoying my book reviews. That's something I actually really like to do. I like to read through books and post reviews of them online, because I really see very, very few Catholic book reviews online. And even though I get minimal amounts of views on those, I still really enjoy it. Kind of, try to make unique videos. And of course, with this channel, you certainly get a unique perspective. And with all the grifters out there, right? Excuse me. With all the grifters out there, you can come here, and I'm not grifting because I don't have a Patreon and I make $3 a month. Yeah. So I guess you could call $3 a month a grift, but if you average that over the number of video hours on here, so if like every video is half an hour, so say like four videos a month, and then I don't even really count the book reviews, are maybe like 5 minutes, so that doesn't even really count. So that's 2 hours times 3. Okay, so I do make over $1. I do average over $1 an hour. Okay, that's like from Napoleon Dynamite, $6. That's like $1 an hour. Hope you don't mind if I pay you in change. Anyway, just laughing at myself on this video. No, I'll do my review of Church Militant at some point. I also have some other good ideas. Now that I know that my StreamYard platform, I can play videos and I can do my live reactions, I'm excited to get that running. I actually don't watch South Park. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of media. After I watched Napoleon Dynamite, I realized I'd never see a better movie, and so I stopped watching movies. So, yeah, that's what that is. Okay, well, yeah, and with Christmas coming up, it seems as though, and I can't predict the future, but it seems as though the news stories get kind of slim in the Advent season and Christmas season as well, and then they don't pick back up until January. Now there are a few here and there, but at least in terms of the Vatican, I think that the hours, like they work very few hours. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've heard is that they don't work a lot at the Vatican, or well, in Rome as it is, and then around the holidays it's even less. But that could just be what I've heard and not reality. I don't know. I don't really know. can't really blame anyone for taking their holidays, taking full advantage of their holidays. I mean, that's, and furthermore, the holy days of obligation, if you do have available vacation time, it is helpful to take those days off of work so that you can make it truly a an enjoyable holy day, and you would have certainly extensive time for prayer and spiritual reading on those days. I know that we have like our secular holidays like Thanksgiving and New Year's, but I mean, New Year's, you're always going to get the day off, and in almost any job, you're going to get the day off. And so, why not make it, instead of a drunk holiday, why not make it a religious holiday? And actually, for the Byzantines, I believe, is that the feast of St. Basil, the first, January 1st, which falls on a Monday this year, which I heard, someone told me that the USCCB dispenses the obligation for, well, for us it's the Feast of the Circumcision. In the Novus Ordo Rite it's different, but the USCCB dispenses the obligation to attend Mass on that day because it falls on a Monday, apparently. Now, there are a few feast days where the dispensation is not, or well, where you're not dispensed. And that Christmas is one of them. So you're obligated to attend Mass for Christmas. Well, Christmas falls on a Monday, so you're obligated to attend Mass for the Sunday and then Christmas, and you can't double dip by going on Christmas Eve just once. You have to, if you go on Christmas Eve, that would fulfill your Sunday obligation. If you didn't already go, then you have to go the next day for Christmas Day. So you can manage that as you will. And for me, especially last year, Christmas was on a Sunday, but the weather was so bad that I would have been dispensed if I wouldn't have been able to make it somewhere, which I did make it to a church. And it wasn't the church I was planning on going to, but I ended up stopping at a church because I knew I couldn't make it in time to the one I was planning on going to. Because the roads were so terrible. It was cold. Actually, a deep freeze. It was the wind chill was in the negatives. So yeah, and negative in Fahrenheit if we have any international viewers. Negative Celsius is just freezing. But no, it was so cold that this salt on the roads did not melt the ice, and so it was just this icy slush on the road, and it was a 55-mile-per-hour road, and I was going like 20. And at that point, I realized that I just needed to find a church, or else I wouldn't go to Christmas Mass at all. And I made it to the Byzantines, and had Christmas there, and that was good, and made it home safely. And actually, it wasn't. The roads weren't super dangerous because no one was on them at that point. That's a story I'll live to tell. But usually around here, around this region in the Northeast, we don't usually have terrible weather on Christmas. It's just every once in a while, and that was once in a while. Actually, the shopping on Christmas Eve, the 24th, I went shopping in the morning, and there were no one on the roads and no one at the stores. And I thought, well, I'm in my car. It's cold, but if I go to a store, then it's warm because they have the heat on. And I don't know. People just give up on going places whenever it's cold. Just kind of a random ranting here. But that's a problem though with people that travel to the Latin Mass, is that if they have bad weather, then they may not be able to make it to the Latin Mass, which is really kind of sad. Anyway, did anyone any more further comments? Oh, okay, lots of comments. Dispensation. Okay. Oh, I work at Chancery and we get a couple extra days off than when I worked in public service. Great. Awesome. Bow to your sensei. Yeah, not that I recommend the show. Oh, South Park. Yeah, no, I've watched a few clips. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's one thing that's nice about working in a in a religious like Catholic affiliated job is that they have they're conscious of the holy days. And it really should be holidays. I mean, honestly, if you have a Catholic society, your holidays are the holy days of obligation. So, more incentive for us to really desire a Catholic society. Whether it's a Monday or a Saturday, yeah, and I think it's stupid the one year I did miss Mass on January 1st. That's because it was a Saturday, and believe me, I did not want to. So, but the problem is if you're like if there's a dispensation from the USCCB because it falls on a Monday or Saturday, I've noticed a lot of parishes are less inclined to actually even have masses. So that's a real disappointment. Uh, In Canada, the Human Rights Commission petitioned the government to remove Christmas and Easter from being public statutory holidays. Canada is a failed state. Well, Easter would be tough because it's a Sunday, and most people are off on Sundays anyway, so. But Christmas, I mean, good luck, really, though, because Christmas is so ingrained into even secular holidays. Like, even non religious people really like Christmas. You know, they go crazy about Christmas. They like the carols and the lights and the trees. And uh, January 1st was a Saturday that year. I think my brother and I both felt bad, so we prayed a rosary. But if you don't have the if you don't have the option to attend mass, then you can't. So then it's dispense. I don't know. Uh, I don't know. That's why it's nice to have a Latin mass. Well, even like a Latin mass religious order near you. What meant Good Friday, not Easter? Oh, Good Friday. Okay, so well, I'm not even I'm not sure if it's a federal holiday. I know that the federal government of the United States likes to give a lot of holidays, whether it's religious or not. Um, I think we did have a mass available. But I don't remember what time. Yeah, so that's sort of the problem. Um, but Good Friday actually in the United States, like a lot of businesses are open on Good Friday. A few of them, dismiss at noon. If I have the option, I just take it off. um, but yeah, that's always the best. But a lot of places they have work on Good Friday. Well, they have a lot of people took it out. So for one example, hold on. One example would be Black Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving. And if you're in Canada, Lyndon, you wouldn't get that day off. But what happens in the United States is that Black Friday, Thanksgiving is a Thursday, and then Black Friday, everyone takes off Black Friday. If their business is open, they take off Black Friday, and it leaves just a few people working there. So a lot of companies have gotten in the habit of giving people off Black Friday. And if you think about how that worked, it's just a bunch of people all at once just wanted to take it off. And so they do. And so the company, rather than fight it, most companies just give them the day off collectively as a company. They're just closed for that day. And if we did that with Catholic religious holidays, then they would give us the day off for those days. That's how it works. It's kind of a popularity type of thing. And if they realize that they're going to have to pay people like extra money to come in, or people are just going to be disgruntled if they have to come in, then the companies just aren't going to worry about it. Um, Now I have to plan better. Can't go out of town on a weekend unless there's a Latin mass available. Now, as a Roman Rite Catholic, I go to Byzantines for holy days sometimes, and the Immaculate Conception can be tricky because it's not a holy day of obligation of the Byzantine Rite. it is a feast day, but not a holy day of obligation. And so not all the Byzantines even have liturgies that day. And so if you were trying to rely on the Byzantines, it's tough. Never understood the American Thanksgiving being such an institution. We do not really have an equivalent. I guess Victoria Day. Well, and Thanksgiving is kind of a gluttony holiday. I mean, kind of crazy to say, but it also happens to fall within the every year it would fall within the St. Philip's fast, because I believe it's the last Thursday of November, or maybe that's the second to last Thursday of November, or maybe the last. I don't know. I'm not actually not entirely sure. But it's always on a Thursday, and it is. That's just how it is. But yeah, a holiday based on gluttony. But it is, and I think that may be why it's so much part of popular culture, sort of like Halloween. Halloween's a pop culture, like a famous pop culture holiday, and we need to reclaim Halloween as Catholics, certainly, because there's all these demons. People set out like skeletons and statues of demons and everything, and all these kids are dressed as devils and ghosts, and I mean, come on, really? You can dress up as something appropriate. Witches. Witches are so popular even amongst little kids. Really? Come on, stop watching Harry Potter. Fourth Thursday of November. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know how that worked. I just look at the calendar and it's a day off for me. Can't complain about that. Get to see some family. See how are you doing, and then find my family that likes Latin Mass and talk to them about that. Anyway, that'd be difficult to navigate for me if I was in the USA. First Thanksgiving was in St. Augustine, but I very much doubt they were thinking about gluttony. Actually, yeah, because they say St. Augustine, Florida, but St. Augustine, they have the oldest shrine in the United States in that city. I'd like to go there sometime and visit that, and I'm also I'm a fan of golf, and so I'd like to see the World Golf Hall of Fame, of course, and the Players Championship course, and so and the weather, and I see a wild gator and see some of the wildlife and the birds. Post on my other channel. All right, and now I'm thinking of that. It's time for me to stop rambling about this stuff. You guys got a really good discussion going. You need to go to Santa Fe. I'm pretty far away from Santa Fe, but I did hear they have the staircase built by St. Joseph. Is that Santa Fe? No, that's Albuquerque, I think. But I'm pretty far away from there. Well, Orlando has a couple of Byzantine churches. Was thinking of emigrating. Yeah, well, I mean, Florida itself, like no income tax, so there's a positive. The weather is nice. Not well. If you're not there in the summer, I guess the weather's pretty nice. No, that's Santa Fe. Oh, okay, all right. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I know the SSPX has they have Silver City Monastery of Benedictines. Ooh, my phone battery is really low. Wow. Okay. All right. So I've been live streaming too long and the battery's going. So, okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for live chat, for your lively conversation. I'm always very happy for that. Thank you for your encouragement for last week. And just a little bit about that is people are saying you don't have to post a video if you're sick. And it's like, well, you know what? Oh no, you didn't derail the stream. No problem. I did not feel better I'm still not 100%. And so if I waited until I felt better, it wouldn't be until this week, so I'd have to skip a week. And I just need to take a cough drop next time. That's what I'm going to have to do. I mean, and I watched it, and it wasn't as bad as I felt. Like the stream, the live stream and how I was presenting the news stories were actually better than I thought they were, because I felt so terrible when I was presenting. But it's just what you do, you know. I mean, I want to get you the news, and I would have had double the stories today if I would have waited, and you would have missed a week. So, um, so I do what I do, and I do appreciate the encouragement, though. And I'm trying to bring you the news, the best that I can of news stories, and of course I'm spinning it, I'm slanting it to my perspective, and I'm ignoring certain news stories, and I'm talking about other news stories, and you know that. I'm trying to ignore a lot of what comes out of the Vatican, because if you focus on it, then you're going to end up going insane. And so, the more you read about stuff in the Vatican, the more you need to spend time in prayer and spiritual reading. So if you make that a priority, and then substitute spiritual reading for news watching, then you're going to be in a much better situation. So anyway, have a great Advent, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. We're the laity, and we will not be silent.